It's a great week, of course, full of exciting promises. This is Enterprise Morning, and we are reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebiki.
I am Choma Okohia.
All right, we get straight to our newspaper headlines to see all that we have for you from our newspaper desk, and right after that also will be our main conversation for today. But please do well to be part of our community. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprise.tvnews.com. You may like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. With us today to go through all that we have on our newspaper headlines is no other but Emeka Mandunago, journalist, public affairs analyst. Good morning, Emeka.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Thank you so very much for joining us today.
So happy to be here.
All right, Choma, let's kick start.
Yeah, we'll be starting with the Vanguard newspaper. And on the top strip, you see any threat to Nigeria's security, internal or external, will face justice. That is coming from the NSA.
And also we have on the very bottom strip here, EFCC intensifies investigation of NFF.
Okay, moving on, marketers may lift petrol from PH refinery this week. That is coming from Ipman itself.
And also we have multiple taxes, ROUs, issues, the vandalism is stifling telecom sector.
Okay, still on the top strip. Why Naira is in massive recovery race across all markets. That is coming from the bankers.
And also we have fair hike, Keamu, FCCPC at war over airpeace.
Okay, we'll be looking at our main topic of discussion, how non-appointment of ambassadors is hurting Nigeria. That is coming from the Envoys. And we have few readers to that particular story. Bilateral agreements, MOUs face hiccups. Embassies operate without ambassador for 15 months. And Tinubu gets list, may announce nominees this week. And why experienced, credible people must be appointed. That is coming from the ex-ambassadors. Now, Emeka Madnago, we'll be having this conversation. How non-appointment of ambassadors is hurting Nigeria and is coming from Envoys. Do we think that, or looking at this particular story, is it the non-appointment of ambassadors that is actually hurting Nigerians, or we not even treating our people well enough for other countries to learn how to treat us better? Looking at how our government and those in power have treated its citizens far too long. Yeah,
well, both factors stand side by side. But more importantly is the issue of ambassadors, non-appointment of ambassadors for more than a year. It was President Tinubu who already asked ambassadors to return to Nigeria, to abandon their posts, duty posts, and return to Nigeria. Even when their duty tour was not concluded. And there was no arrangement on the ground to, get ambassadors to get appointees to replace them. And which, of course, highlights our poor handling of, foreign policy. Shows that on our foreign policy, we do not prioritize the human elements. We just think that, the president can be junketing all over the world from country to country, without any focal points, without any solid talking points. And so, you see the president went to Qatar, with all the noise about, the president's son is a friend of the Emir of Qatar, and all of that, and signed MOUs that came to nothing. We've now seen the other one with France again. When they signed MOUs, there is a chargé d'affaires actually who is on ground, the administrative head of the embassy. But did you see him? What you saw was President Tinubu with the French President Emmanuel Macron and the Minister of Foreign Minerals, Dele Alake, which was undiplomatic. Even at the press conference where, between Nigeria, the meeting they had, between Nigeria and France, the chargé d'affaires who was supposed to sit next to the president, his seat was taken over by a minister. And of course, people observe these things from around the world. So what it means is that you prioritize, your political allies back home in Nigeria over people who are designated representatives of the country abroad. Of course, that is that was very poor protocol. and poor diplomacy. It was wrong diplomacy. It was undiplomatic.
All right.
It should be corrected.
Very, very true. Emeka, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the current chairman of ECOWAS. And for someone of that status not to understand the importance of diplomacy and why it's important that the perception of Nigerians from us outside of Nigeria is important, what do you think is happening here? Are we still waiting for that that negotiative appointment that we all know President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for? Or what exactly do you think is making him not desiring to choose ambassadors to fill in this space?
Yeah, it's all, your question just roll into one. But sorry, I didn't answer the second part of the chairman's question about treatment of Nigerians abroad. Of course, we know it's the weak, diplomatic skills of people in charge of that sector, in Nigeria, that's, led to the ill treatment of Nigerians abroad. Even there was a time one government official under the former President Muhammad Buhari tried to ethnicize the ill treatment of Nigerians abroad. Of course, you don't put a round peg in a square hole. You have qualified people who should handle diplomatic affairs. But now, because you want to reward, you want to reward people who helped you in election, want to just dispense political patronage, and then you just put any kind of person. Of course, you get embarrassed. That's to that. Then, yes, the chairman of ECOWAS, but chairman of ECOWAS without ambassadors. So all of the meetings you are holding in ECOWAS, who is actually the focal person, to push? And the interest is that the ECOWAS secretariat is in Abuja, right here in Nigeria. So who is Nigeria's focal person at those meetings? Then you have gone, then in dealing with African nations, of course, 4 African nations now have left ECOWAS. Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, they've left ECOWAS. So what does that tell you? And how do you engage with them? You just sit in Abuja. Your media aide will issue a press statement. Who wants to listen to that? Nobody wants to listen to that. Are you dictating to them? These are sovereign countries, So they will just don't mind those people, And you saw it play out when we wanted to go and invade a sovereign nation, wanted to go and invade Niger Republic, hiding under ECOWAS. Meanwhile, it was on the express orders of France and the United States. We wanted to go without trying diplomacy. You saw all kinds of people that were sent to go to Niger, without a single ambassador, Nigerian ambassador, being involved in the discussions, in the negotiations. So the thing is this: yes, everybody talks about negotiations. That's part of it. So maybe party members who are, the president's allies who are not favored in appointments here, okay, fine, they can be compensated with those positions, and maybe his friends in some other political parties, But of course, we know that people generally in Nigeria don't want to take up ambassadorial appointment because it's viewed as being sent to Siberia. You know what I mean? Being sent out of the political, where things are happening, So
diplomatic exile.
Yeah, so if you are sent abroad, just means they're just looking for a way to whittle down your influence and just, just get you abroad, get busy, run up and down, maybe attending parties, attending meetings, visiting companies, visiting factories, inspecting factories, looking for foreign investors. But I think the president has gone to a number of high-profile gatherings. The G20, he was in COP, the COP29 in Brazil. He has been to France. He has been to some other states. The Indian Prime Minister was here. What did we take away? When he went to France, the French ambassador to Nigeria was in Paris. So he was supposed to be sitting across the table from his counterpart in Nigeria. But you didn't see that. So what it means is that we are shooting ourselves in the foot. We are weakening our position on issues. So when an MOU is, we say we've signed an MOU. MOU on what? Who advised the president on the signing of the MOU? The input of the embassy, even if there was any, would just have been reduced to administrative talk. But the political side, the behind the scenes and all of those things that will actually strengthen Nigeria's position in the making of these agreements or these MOUs is missing. And let me tell you, we cannot implement those MOUs. We've signed the former President Buhari signed so many MOUs, so many. Even the same Qatar, he signed an MOU with the same Qatar. As a matter of fact, one of the MOUs was direct flights, between Nigeria and Doha, the capital of Qatar. But where is it? Do you even have a flag carrier? No, you don't have a national carrier. So you are going about signing agreements without considering your core interests. You went to South Africa, a meeting of the South Africa Nigeria Binational Commission. South Africa has a high commissioner to Nigeria. We don't have a high commissioner to South Africa. And then what we saw, the things we heard were actually things from the South African side.
Yeah.
The president spoke, and I think one of his foreign ministers spoke. But what did you hear? What solid talking points did you hear from Nigeria? Nothing. But when you say this, people say, you hate the president. Then you are this. You don't want him to succeed. As if, I have any this thing. As if he pays me to help him to succeed.
Of course, in the race, yeah. All right, but let's look into the Daily Trust newspaper for today. And we have the big story here. Dry season farming suffers as dams infrastructure collapses. And we have one rider here. Farmers resort to boreholes and wells.
Okay, moving on. Still on the Daily Trust newspaper. And on the bottom strip, you find 2 siblings die after eating cassava meals in Abuja.
Yes, and also we have still on the bottom strip here, corruption must be fought from the top, says Obasanjo.
On the tax reform bills, increased tax on the rich, Don tells federal government.
Yes, and also we have on the very top here, the front page comment section here, we have a suspend tax bills to get buy-in for all. That seems to be like asking President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to withhold the tax bill so that they can all come in and support him.
Okay, moving on. This is our main topic of conversation. This is what we'll be talking about. 32 states, FCT records 0 foreign investment in 2024. So which do we believe?
12 months down the line.
There are 12 months. The FCT records 0 foreign investment in 2024. But they're saying that they've actually been able to lure in some investors, Alex?
Well, it's the records are here.
The records are here. So at this point, which should we believe? Should we believe the FCT or should we believe the presidency saying it's been going around, and this year they talked about India coming in and co. So which do we believe?
They said there was a time they said one Indian investors coming with billions. We've not seen anything. If you permit me, I'd like to tie it to the other story about dams collapsing and farmers. It didn't rain well this year.
Yes.
I'm a farmer. It didn't rain well this year. And so, harvests were not as expected. Were not as expected. And there's growing interest in Nigerian crops, especially, cassava. There's growing interest, global interest. Then, when they were floating the Naira, they didn't consider the fact that it will put our currency in a weaker position to the CFA. CFA is being used in 17 countries. Naira is used only in Nigeria. And so the Naira that used to be ahead of the CFA has now gone behind it. So what it means is that it's so easy for, there are these people, there are middlemen now in the cultural sector. There is a regular thing. When there's a major harvest, they go and mop up. I'm not talking of the off-takers, like Olam. Those ones are, approved of by government to, to buy, not to mop up, to buy agricultural produce. That is different. These ones are middlemen. They go deep into markets in places you will not imagine. They mop up Gary, they can hang around the market and wait for morning to evening. When those women who are selling those things are beginning to get frustrated, they'll just go beat down the price. And the women will have these are poor women, they have no other option but to collect, the meager money these people give them. So now, when you don't have emphasis on irrigation, you see, in a place like Pakistan, farmers now use solar boreholes, to irrigate their farms. Now that has affected the national grid in Pakistan. because so many people have found they were having issues like Nigeria, collapse on Nigeria. So people have found alternatives. Now the national grid is better, but who is patronizing it? So we now dovetail into, and now look at that agricultural sector. If we've had we depend largely on subsistence farming. Commercial farming is at a low level. Now it is investors with deep pockets, organizations that can actually come in, and say that they are going to invest heavily in the agricultural sector, build dams, or even lease some of those dams from government, maintain them, add dams, but people are not willing because of insecurity. These header farmers clashes everywhere. People are not willing to go. Nobody wants to go and put his money into a sector where the workers can be at risk of different kinds of elements, kidnappers, terrorists, insurgents, So that is a major disincentive to foreign investors coming into Nigeria. Insecurity, rule of law. The rule of law, how is your judiciary, how is your justice sector perceived outside Nigeria? Then how are your elections perceived outside Nigeria? There are a lot of these things. So, but the government will say, the critics, they don't like saying anything good about Nigeria. No, these people outside are not stupid. They are even more, they are better informed than you in the government. They know things you don't know. Don't forget they have embassies here. Don't forget they have networks of NGOs, civil society organizations, even people within your parties, within your government.
I'm working for them.
Who are disgruntled, or maybe sometimes, out of, over exuberance, they just talk like this and this, and they make special claims, forgetting that this is the era of fact-checking. People go and fact-check. They fact-check 1 is false, 2 is false, 3 misleading. Of course, your credibility and believability index begins to drop. And that is a measure of the, how people respond to your economy. Then just to quickly add this point that when we talk about foreign investors, you see, the government should just make up its mind. If it wants portfolio investors, people will just come, put money into the stock exchange, trade with it, run around, and run away. Fine. But if you want solid investors, take note that you must prepare a bouquet of, a bouquet of things around the ease of doing business. Right now, ease of doing business in Nigeria is low. So, you expect these people to come in and to set up a business. For the business, it will take like 5 years gestation period. So for a foreign investor to be hearing that Glaxo has left Nigeria, to be hearing that different companies have left Nigeria, some are even planning to leave. MTN is recording a loss, recorded a loss. Big companies are already laying off workers, small scale companies, startups are shutting down. Okay, how do you expect them to come in, So propaganda does not breed prosperity. Come out and say the truth. Speak the truth. Then carry out necessary fiscal and monetary reforms. Then curb corruption. There is still so much corruption in the system. Then again, what you need to do is, there are certain layers of responsibility you can do without in government, so that it will be easier for investors to identify whom they are dealing with. But you come, set up a faction. In a month, more than 20 agencies will visit you.
With tax.
Will come and pay this, come and pay this. Some in overreaching, they will come with talks, shut down your factory. And these things are reported. These things are online. Who is going to come and bring in for investment? Look at in FCT, the minister Yesonke just announced that he took over land from Julius Berger because they have not developed it and used it to build judges' quarters. Who likes that? Julius Berger is an investor, it's a foreign company, it's a German company. How do you think they will relay that kind of message back to the people? Did you give them enough time? Show us, evidence that you wrote them, how many letters you wrote them to develop that place. So when you look at things like this, nobody will want to come and invest. You were blaming Davido for saying people should not come. But the Minister of Finance some days ago said the Nigerian economy is in a mess. It's in a crisis. So why not go and flog the Minister of Finance for saying that?
Thank you so much, Emeka. Looking at our time.
Yes, exactly. Just have to say a stop to us today, especially for this segment, but the truth still remains that I just sincerely hope that those in authority truly do listen. You know, they don't just listen, but they understand, you know, the gravity of the situation we found ourselves.
The truth is that most of our leaders don't know what it means to lead. To lead is to serve. It is not about coming in and claiming to be a leader and want people to worship you. It is about you serving and serving the people. And when you serve them well, the right accolade will come to you.
Definitely.
That is the fact.
And service is basically coming down to their level. Coming down to their
You
level.
listen, you make decisions. You don't just make decisions that suits you because you're there for the people. So you listen to them, get feedback from them, and know how best to treat them better.
Very true.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Emeka Madnabu, for
Thank
being
you
part
so
of our show
much.
today.
Yes.
And just to let you know that Emeka will be around to take us also on our main conversation for today.
Yeah, and when we return, President Bola Tinubu celebrates Ghana's democratic triumph. Congratulates John Mahama. That will be what we'll be discussing in the next few minutes. To stay with us.